Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the Amazing Spider Webcast, issue 34. Our last issue was November of last year, and it is February of this year, which actually isn't as bad as I thought. 3 months. These came out like one a month, right? So we're doing it a third as fast as Marvel Comics. They're a whole company. I'm one guy. Give it a rest. So we've got Kraven the Hunter, and a cover of The Thrill of the Hunt, and Kraven coming down on Spider-Man on the side of a building. All this excitement. So I think what we kind of have here is a little reset. If you remember our last time, we had our big issue where Aunt May recovered from one of her many mysterious illnesses. Spider-Man was trapped under all that stuff. A very pivotal moment in Spider-Man history. And I think this issue's kind of a reset of like villain of the week again. Let's do just kind of a normal ass thing. Opens with a shot of Kraven walking through his trophy room. Bunch of taxidermied animals. If I was going to do... I always thought it'd be really funny to do a series in Marvel of basically side characters we never see. I thought it'd be funny to do a profile of the guy who basically works the phones at Damage Incorporated and is like, what happened? Where? How much? Okay, whatever. Another one to add to that list is Kraven the Hunter's taxidermist. Because I think Kraven, on the one hand, goldmine. Because it seems like he's killing a goddamn gorilla like every other day. And, I feel like he would have to pay you extra because I don't know a lot about the taxidermy industry, but I'm guessing that technically you're supposed to, if someone brings in a goddamn gorilla, you're supposed to, like, say something. But, he's got his gorilla, a big snake, some panther things, warthog, lion, tiger, elephant, rhino, all these things. Elephant doesn't seem, I guess in a weird way for Kraven the Hunter, elephant might be the ultimate because he's not like using a gun, right? He's killing him with his bare hands and shit. So in a way, it's like, he might actually have a harder time with an elephant than a tiger or something. I don't know. He drinks his special jungle herbs, his wondrous potions of power. It really, it sounds like, when you see testosterone booster ads or hear about, supplements that'll boost your testosterone. It's kind of what it sounds like to me. It sounds like a bunch of nonsense. He probably heard about this on Rogan and is like, I could take that. I've noticed Kraven in his later years, I can still beat a tiger, but I don't get the same sexual thrill from it. And he's also drinking from, like a horn for some reason. I'm not really sure why, but, whatever. A horn is a funny drinking vessel because it's like when you have a horn, what you realize, if you've ever drank from a horn, for some reason, what you quickly realize is you can't put it down. And so there's kind of this weird, like, well, I guess you're finishing that drink. You know what I mean? Because what else are you going to do? You're stuck. It's sort of like, it almost feels like a prank you would do to someone on their 21st birthday. You'd like give them 2 handful horns of Malort or something and be like, have fun. And, I don't know, dye it bright blue so that if they spill it on the carpet in their apartment, they'd be screwed. Anyway, Kraven wrestles a lion and is just like, whatever. He's like, all right, I'm going to take a boat to New York to hunt Spider-Man. We cut to Peter Parker revealing to Betty Brant that he's Spider-Man, and of course it's just a bad dream that Betty Brant is having. So I guess that's a little bit of a twist on the It Was All a Dream, because it's not our normal POV character, but it's stupid. The It Was All a Dream is kind of like, come on. That just feels like they had to waste some panels. I guess they had to remind us about Peter Parker. Then we cut to Peter Parker. He does a stretch. He's looking pretty shredded. I don't know at what point exactly this changed, but, Peter Parker's biceps are looking pretty close to Kraven the Hunter's biceps. I wonder if anyone, noticed, like anyone in the world was like, Peter Parker is looking ripped these days. When did that happen? Checks in with Aunt May. She's doing great. Then we have a part with Gwen Stacy. And, all these guys are asking her out, and she's like, not interested, whatever. But then she's saying, it's strange. Peter Parker is the only boy who hasn't paid any attention to me. And I was like, is this the origin of the game? Is that how this works? Did Spider-Man not get credit for inventing the game? Now, Spider-Man did it on accident, it would seem, because I think Peter Parker is not paying attention to her. But he's like, he sees her drop a textbook and goes to pick it up, and he's like, oh, I'll pick up her textbook. I don't think Peter Parker's ignoring Gwen Stacy in any real way. I think he's just like oblivious nerd and also is pretty busy being Spider-Man. Then we get Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn's son. We need to talk about Harry Osborn's hair and Norman Osborn's hair. It looks like a red and black sort of plowed field going horizontally across the top of their head. Now, Norman Osborn, the father, has a better hairline. He's got just kind of hair that goes all over his head, and Harry Osborn seems to have sort of a widow's peak combined with male pattern baldness happening somehow. I know that doesn't make sense. Those seem like contradictory things, but that seems what's happening. But I was always confused as to what exactly Harry and Norman Osborn's hair was supposed to look like. Like, the person doing the art, it was like, if this was a photo, like, can you show me a photo of someone who has this kind of hair? It didn't make sense to me. Do you know what I mean? It looked like it was weird, like ridged, wavy or something. It looked like a haircut that like kid from Kid and Play House Party would have or something. And I was like, well, maybe they have like tight curly hair, Harry and Norman Osborn. I don't know. I can't tell what the fuck it's supposed to be. I'm still not really sure. And it seems like through time, it's only been drawn more that way. The biggest disappointment from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movies was James Franco casting. Because I was like, that hair is all wrong. James Franco has nice hair. That's not confusing. And it doesn't solve the mystery for me. That's the real issue. I'm like, I need this mystery solved. This was the chance. You fucked it up, Sam Raimi. Anyway, it doesn't really work out with Gwen. They have like a meet cute where they don't really meet and it's not that cute. And Kraven was sitting around and it says like, after hours of careful planning, which is like indistinguishable from after just sitting around for a while thinking about it, which is, I kind of have thought like, maybe that's what I should tell my boss I'm up to sometimes. Just be like, after hours of careful planning, which you witnessed, I know that looked like me sitting at my desk staring into space, but that was hours of careful planning. And, after hours of careful planning, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. And maybe X, Y, Z is not great, but like, fuck it, what's he going to do? Anyway, Kraven comes up with a plan. And then we have Peter Parker back at Aunt May's house again. And then that's where we get the panel narrator. We'll admit this has been a pretty long introduction, but once the action gets started, it'll more than make up for it. So bear with us a short time longer as we turn to our average Spider-Man once more. And you're like, okay, so even the people writing this comic are like, we had to reset a bunch of shit. This is an awfully long introduction. Like, I don't know. Is some kid reading this going to be like, when the fuck? I haven't seen Spider-Man at all. You know what I mean? But then we do get Spider-Man, which is, okay, here's something that's funny about it. You get a Spider-Man that I think you're not supposed to know right away is Kraven the Hunter. And then, he takes his mask off within a few panels. So his idea is to impersonate Spider-Man to draw out Spider-Man. Which, here's the funny part about it, though, is I picture, what's your hurry, Jameson? Spider-Man, in person, mister. And I'm like, okay, but would he have like a thick Russian accent? And would Jameson be like, I do not remember Spider-Man having this commie accent last time we argued about whatever we argue about. This is a little weird. I'm not sure what to think. But, I guess that's the magic of comics, right? Is it could be Kraven and, a completely different guy. And it's like, whatever. It can be fine. We cut back again to Aunt May asking Peter Parker if he remembered to wash the apple before eating it. At which point I'm like, Jesus Christ. There's like doting and it's nice that you make him food. But there's also like, did you remember to wash that apple? And it's like, oh, who cares? You know what I mean? Am I the only one who doesn't like wash every single thing that I eat? Maybe I'm admitting to something really horrible or stupid, but I do not wash every apple I've ever eaten. I just don't. I know I'm dumb, and this is probably dumb, but I can't be the only person who's like, fuck it. Like, people run it under the sink for 2 minutes, dry it, or 2 seconds. They dry it off on a cloth that's just been hanging in front of the sink for, 10 years being unwashed. And then they're like, oh, that was a good thing I did that. So anyway, then we get Jameson, who's publishing stories about Spider-Man harassing him, which he's actually happy about because he's like, I'm selling a lot of papers writing about how Spider-Man's harassing me. This is fucking amazing. What's really funny, though, is, he's printing these stories about Spider-Man harassing him, and everybody is incensed about Spider-Man's treatment of Jameson. Imagine hounding a public-spirited citizen like Mr. Jameson that way. It's a disgrace. Someone should put that masked wall crawler out of circulation once or for all. If you ask me, it's time the FBI stepped in. You said it. What I think is really funny about this is this feels like a moment that's, really different from how it would go down today. Because I think if this went down today, the equivalent of J. Jonah Jameson is probably like Elon Musk, right? Because he bought Twitter. I don't think people would be like, it's shameful that this superhero is harassing Elon Musk. I think people would be like, yeah, fuck him. I don't think public sentiment would see Spider-Man. He's not like punching him and stuff. He's just being like, I'm watching you. I know you're a douche, whatever. And then, swinging away. I think people would be fine with that happening to Elon Musk. I don't know. I just suspect. I could be wrong. So finally, Spider-Man catches up with Kraven. Meanwhile, on the ground level, these guys are like, look, it's Spider-Man. Let's go get the boys. This is our chance to get rid of him once and for all. Yeah, I've been itching to get... Okay. Basically, we got a Seinfeld situation because it was like they were trying to get Spider-Man and they were following Kraven, but then it's, Kraven and Spider-Man are going to fight, but also this gang is like, hey, there's Spider-Man. Let's get him. So we're going to have Kraven and Spider-Man fighting, and then a gang's going to show up as well. Kraven sort of tricks Spider-Man to go through his sort of Home Alone traps, which unfortunately for Kraven and for Kevin McAllister, if he were to be attacked by Spider-Man, I think Spidey sense is like the ultimate way to get around a trap. It's like that's exactly what it does, right? It's like, there's a danger here. I'm ready for danger. So Spider-Man is fighting Kraven. Then the gang shows up. And Spidey says, sorry, gents, this is a private party. And they say, it's him. Tisk, tisk. You mean it is he, Spider-Man says. Nothing infuriates me as much as bad grammar, or didn't you know? And I was like, oh, Spidey, not you two. I don't like when people correct other people's grammar. I mean, I guess it's fine in the context of it's a gang of assholes who's trying to shoot you and you're making a joke. at their expense. I'm not upset about it. But I just think correcting someone's grammar is like a boring thing to do. It's not interesting. Also, I feel like grammar errors are going to solve themselves. Like, AI is like writing shit now. How long is it before things are like, fuck it. It's all fine. So anyway, I was like, Spidey, you're better than that. You can use your powers for something better than that. Plus, what do you have, the proportional hatred of grammar errors of a spider? If that's the case, it would be 0. You would not hate grammar errors at all because you don't know what grammar is. The gang, by the way, is the Nails Hogan gang. I was like, well, maybe these gangs should come up with a better name. And by better, I mean a name. What I like about Nails Hogan gang is that it's like, well, that sounds like a gang of guys in hats and coats punching people. But if you wanted to be more successful, I might be like, why don't you call yourself like the William Howard Taft Foundation? And that's the name of your gang. And maybe it'll take people a while to catch on to the fact that you're a violence gang. Anyway, Spider-Man beats Kraven and beats the gang. And Jameson's all pissed off about it because it's like, oh, it turns out, Kraven was being Spider-Man. So that wasn't Spider-Man, that was Kraven harassing you. And Jameson's like, damn it. And there's a new replacement lady for Betty Brant who kind of comes into his office in the middle of Jameson finding out all this stuff. And she's like, excuse me, I finished all the day's correspondence. Will there be anything else? And he says, no, that's all. You think I run a sweatshop here? Go home and be here at 9 sharp tomorrow. And I'm like, so J. Jonah Jameson is mad at the fill-in secretary for saying, I finished my work. Is there anything else you'd like me to do? And he's like, what do you assume? I'm some kind of asshole running a sweatshop? Get the hell out of here. He's mad about someone asking about like, well, I'll head home now if that's all right. Hey, fuck you. So anyway, Betty Brant has left the Bugle, and that's pretty much it. Now we do get on the final page, it's Peter Parker with Aunt May and what's her face? Mary Jane's aunt, Mrs. Watson. Jesus. And this may be one of the first mentions of Mary Jane. And as I was telling my niece, Mary Jane, oh, hello, Peter. And they don't really talk about Mary Jane further than that, but it's just a mention. Could be the first mention. I'm not sure. It's entirely likely and possible that at some point in the past I've mentioned this already, like this has already come up. But they're sowing the seeds. And that's about it. Next we get the Molten Man. Everybody's favorite, the Molten Man.